Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Dragon Ball Nation. Now today I'm giving you guys another Q&A today. Apologies for missing last week. I had a very good reason because I tried to skip it so I could plan my 100th Q&A around my birthday. Because then I'll be 21 and we can do some sort of like crazy drinking game related Q&A for 100th. It'll be a super long live stream. That's what my plan is. But anyways, and then yesterday I just completely ran out of time to upload, so that's why I live streamed. But let's get on with the Q&A here. Do you wish you could read someone's mind? Why? I don't wish that because it's a lot better to not know most of the time than to know. Whatever it may be, ignorance is bliss. It really is a lot of times. Sometimes it's good to know. It is good to know certain things sometimes, but I'll tell ya, there's some shit in this world you wish you've never heard or seen. That is the truth. So I guess this could go either way, really. Kibito Kai versus Android 19. I would say definitely Android 19, and the reason I say this is, looking at Goku in Dragon Ball Z, his base form in the Boo saga, even though people like to, throw a lot of numbers around, I am a firm believer that he never got to the level of Android 19 in the Boo saga, and, there's a lot of ways I could break this down. I want to do a video in the future about the base power of Saiyans in Dragon Ball Z, or Goku at the very least, obviously. There's not much evidence to suggest he would be stronger than Frieza, like Beerus said. You don't seem like you could have beaten him in this form. The only real thing you could really point towards that would be when they're going to fight at the tournament with Piccolo there, as well at the World Tournament in the Boo Saga. There was no Super Saiyan allowed, but wouldn't Piccolo just mop the floor with everyone then? I mean, maybe his weighted clothes, he's wearing some special weighted clothes that were going to put him down to around their power level, but I don't know about that. And you could chalk that up to an inconsistency, or you could say that's evidence to support that they're around like Super Perfect Cell, or like Perfect Cell level in their base forms, which I don't think they're even close to in Dragon Ball Z. Not Super, but Z. Now anyways, while I'm mentioning all this for a very good reason. Goku was lifting the Z sword in his base form, but Kibito Kai couldn't even do shit to pick up that sword. So this guy's gotta be weaker than like Frieza, and much lower than that even, in my opinion. Now you could say, oh, it's just lifting strength, but I would equate a good portion of that to actual power level, just in my opinion. The thing is, Kibito's just like, he's just an attendant. He's not like a special god or anything. So I think that 19 would mop the floor with him. Long answer to that question, but I wanted to kind of break that down. Do you think that Goku Black should get a new Super Saiyan form? I mean, he already got one, so I don't think he needs another. Tien versus Krillin, Yamcha, and Chiaotzu. I would be inclined to say Tien because he'd obviously just mop the floor with Chiaotzu and Yamcha. That'd be no problem, so it'd just be down to Tien and Krillin. And I'm inclined to believe that obviously Tien would be stronger, just due to logic. He's always training. There's very little reason of why Krillin would be stronger. But statements by Toriyama being like, oh, Krillin's the strongest Earthling, it's just like, is it like, why is he? Does that make sense? Is he even counting Tien in there? It's all up in the air. But I would be inclined to think logically Tien would be the strongest of them all. That's just my opinion. But as far as just the core series, in terms of feats, there's very little in the way to really go towards either side, I would say. Piccolo Boo Saga versus Pikkon, I definitely would say Pikkon would win. Piccolo wouldn't have even been stronger than Super Saiyan Goku, in my opinion, who would have been more than likely above the level of Perfect Cell. He gained about twice, he doubled his power basically from the Cell games to the Boo Saga. We can kind of infer around this number because when Vegeta and Goku fought, Majin Vegeta, obviously, Vegeta sees Goku power up to Super Saiyan 2, and only after transforming to Super Saiyan 2 he says, oh, well, at least you're stronger than your son was against Cell. Kind of implying that he wasn't until he transformed into Super Saiyan 2. Which kind of puts him at a level, a good margin above Gohan and Super Perfect Cell. But in a Super Saiyan form, you can kind of look at that and say, well, he's probably about as strong as Perfect Cell, if not a bit stronger. And, you know, circling back to earlier when I was talking about their base forms. The 2 times increase is not the biggest increase Goku's ever gotten from training, obviously. But over 7 years, I mean, it's kind of crazy. So you gotta think of, like, realistically how strong has Goku got, and I'll break that down in another video. And it's not going to be an exact number, obviously. It's going to be a ballpark, but it should be fun. But circling back to this question, I'm giving such long answers, but I feel like I'm just diving into these pretty in-depth. Circling back to this one, Piccolo versus Pikkon. The reason Pikkon would mop the floor with Piccolo is because Goku had to use Super Kaioken to keep up with Pikkon, really. And not only is Pikkon, he did one-shot Cell, which I do think is a BS scene, but I do think that Pikkon is stronger than Cell. But I think that scene where he one-shots him, or two-shots him basically, is a BS scene. But regardless, I think Piccolo in the Buu Saga, it's very hard to pinpoint his power level, but it's realistic that he's about the same as Perfect Cell, if not a bit stronger, if not a bit weaker. But, you know, obviously if he's keeping up with his training, or, you know, just doing simple stuff. But Pikkon, I think, would just mop the floor just due to the power difference. Is Hirudegarn stronger than Gohan Boo? That's very difficult to answer, and I would be... Just because if I use math, it's hard for me to believe that Hirudegarn is stronger than Gohan. Or buuhan, I should say. Because buuhan is so much more powerful than everyone else was. It is absurd. He has absurd strength. So I would think no. Like, yes, Goku learned how to beat him with the Dragon Fist. Hirudegarn. So, it's very difficult. The way he was, you know, tossing around Z Fighters, I just have a gut feeling that he wasn't, but I also haven't seen that movie in probably about a year. So I'd have to go back and look, but just off the top of my head, okay, listen, off the top of my head, I would probably say buuhan would still be stronger. Would he beat him, though? You know, not even thinking about absorption or anything. Could he beat Hirudegarn? I'm not sure if he could figure that out, really. Who could last the longest against Bills? Bills, bro. Who could last the longest against Beerus? Buuhan, Vegito, Super Saiyan 3, Golden Frieza, Super 17, Nova Shenron, or Hit? None of them, because Beerus would just tap them and they'd be dissolved. So, I would, in all honesty, if Beerus didn't know about Hit's time skip right out of the gate, Hit would probably last the longest just in terms of skipping, you know, around in time, I guess. But most of these beings, just based on what I've said about Beerus with his talents, I feel like Beerus can take on almost any being with that just by destroying them, just by wanting to, basically. By dissolving their essence, essentially. So, I'm not really sure. And you're giving me Dragon Ball Super and GT characters, and it's so hard to compare them at this point. And it's really starting to look like GT characters just aren't even up to par. And a lot of people would argue, you know, it's been like that for a while, but, you know, it's definitely very hard to argue for GT characters, but that's okay. This one's kind of the same. It's very hard to compare all these characters. Oh, never mind. It's actually a different question. I almost deleted it. So this is which fight is the most one-sided. So it's different fights. Okay, I thought it was all with Beerus. Beerus versus Super Saiyan 3. I'm gonna assume that's I'm gonna assume that you mean Vegito. That's just my guess. Gogeta versus Omega Shenron. Oh, okay. So no. So this is actual fights that happen in the series. Beerus versus Super Saiyan 3 Goku. I'm gonna assume he means now. Gogeta versus Omega. Vegito versus Buuhan. Frieza versus Nail. Perfect Cell versus Vegeta. Hit versus Vegeta. I would definitely say Beerus versus Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Especially because Beerus just continues to show that he has even more and more power hidden within him. So that was definitely the biggest pushover fight. If I had to pick a close second, Frieza versus Nail could be it. Just because there's a giant truck driving by. Oh my god. There's rude ass, man. There's rude people out there. They don't understand I have to work here. You could say Frieza versus Nail because he has all those transformations, and it was a suppressed Frieza, and he's still just like, I'm gonna rip your arm off. But I probably would have to say, Gogeta versus Omega would be a very big gap, so that would be a close second. Not even that close of a second, to be honest. Super Perfect Cell versus 1,000 meta coolers. It's basically like 1,000 flies versus a human, so I would say Cell. Like, he could just do like a huge blast and pretty much destroy them all. It wouldn't even be a challenge. Semi-Cell, I guess you mean semi-perfect. Unless Cell's, you know, packing a semi, then that's different. That could be interpreted in many different ways. It could be a semi-automatic pistol. It could be a semi-automatic rifle. It could be a couple things there. Semi-perfect Cell versus Super Android 13 kaioken times 20. I would definitely say, if you're saying Super Android 13 kaioken times 20, I would say that wouldn't even be a fight. I'd say Android 13 would mount the floor. I mean, regular Super 13's already, in my opinion, pretty close to semi-perfect Cell. I don't know if he's stronger or weaker. I've talked about this with a couple friends before. But just the way he had no shits to give with the Z fighters when they fought, and even though they were weaker than when they fought Cell, that's still, these are guys that were fighting the androids whose power levels were in the 200 to 300,000 or million range as Super Saiyan. So, and a lot of speculation just kind of dissolves to that semi-perfect Cell would be like around 800 or 900 million. I've seen it's like 700 and 900 million, but then you're getting into power levels and just random numbers that you kind of guess, just educated guesses. But just from to me, logically, it just seems like the way Super Android 13 was tanking all their blows, it just didn't seem like. I think that he would be stronger than semi-perfect Cell, or at least around that tier. Regardless, though, 20 times Super 13 would be more than enough for semi-perfect Cell. More than enough. If Cell could destroy a solar system, then what can hit or Golden Frieza destroy? More than the universe, I imagine Super Saiyan God and Beerus clashing was enough to start destroying the universe, so I imagine Golden Frieza on his own, or hit on his own, could probably scrounge up enough energy to do the same. But to the extent of what would go past that, I don't know. I don't write the series. I can just give you my educated guesses. So, Hit versus Omega Shenron. Again, this goes back to that GT versus Super debate. Very confusing to kind of go back and forth. You have a series that continues to show immense power from characters and show off their abilities, and then you have a series like GT that just keeps stuff on a very small scale. It's very small scale stuff. It really is. We don't have any multiplier numbers for Super, so that makes it very confusing. Usually when people use math, GT tends to win, but when you're looking at stuff like feats and stuff, which is what more people care about, Super usually comes on top. So this question I can't really delve into. I want to wait till Super is over, and then if I have to break down any characters or really decide, I will. But just at this moment, Super looks like it's just overtaken GT in terms of power for the most part. Who is Goku most afraid? This is an interesting question. It's very easy to answer though, but who is Goku most afraid to fight? Super Boo, Broly, Frieza, Cooler, Super Android 13, or Janemba? Well, it's fun because Goku was really only afraid, and maybe you could say afraid, maybe he wasn't, sure. He was only really afraid to fight Super Boo. When they were inside of Boo, Goku just would refuse to fight him. He says to Vegeta, if we had the fusion, we could beat him no problem, but we can't do anything to him. Even though he's back to normal, we don't stand a chance. That's why he's threatening to blow holes inside of Boo and stuff like that. That was the one he was the most afraid of because, quite honestly, that was the one he was the most outmatched by as well. So, you know, that's, I guess, what I consider that. A lot of people just don't understand how much more powerful Super Boo actually was than Super Saiyan 3 Goku. So, you know, whatever. And I know there's going to be people in the comments saying, well, Goku was only Super Saiyan 1, or was it 2? I don't remember. I think it was only Super Saiyan 1. And it wasn't like he was trying to hold Super Saiyan 3 back from Vegeta, because before they fused, which was before they went inside of Boo, Vegeta said he knew about Super Saiyan 3, so he wouldn't be hiding it to keep Vegeta's pride. So it literally was comparing his Super Saiyan 3 power against Boo. He's just like, we stand no chance. We really don't. And if he could have beaten him as Super Saiyan 3, then why would they waste their time with a permanent fusion? Just makes no sense. Do you think it's possible that Goku Black is Zamasu's apprentice Kaioshin, hence the earrings? Well, we already know who Goku Black is for the most part, so that's not really it. God Essence Super Saiyan 3 Vegito Black Goku arc versus Whis and Vados. You're asking me such a hypothetical question that I couldn't even think to answer. But probably Vegito. I mean, if you're saying God Essence, so, I mean, I don't know, man. That's kind of crazy. Sex smeared in honey or mustard. So would I rather have sex smeared with honey or mustard? Honey's going to smell better. It's definitely going to smell better. Mustard's going to be really, really potent, like vinegary, like really powerful smell. But the thing is that mustard's probably going to be a better feeling, I should say. Honey's going to probably cause some, I would imagine it would cause some chafing or some skin being pulled. So I'd probably say mustard. But that's very, it's an interesting question to say the least, that's for sure. McDonald's or KFC? KFC, hands down. But McDonald's does have like the best fast food breakfast. Does KFC even have a breakfast menu? I don't think they do. Then again, chicken's good for any time of the day, so I'll take fried chicken any day. Omega Shenron versus Super Saiyan Rose Black Goku. Again, this goes back to what I was saying earlier with the Super and GT thing, kind of hard to decipher. Regardless of what I'm going to say, someone's going to get butthurt about it, so whatever. Super Saiyan Blue Vegito versus High Priest Daishinkan. I don't even know how to say his name. I'm pretty sure you say High Priest, so I guess you mean the guy that was the person at Xeno's palace, the Whis-looking dude that Whis said would just make. He basically said that he completely outmatches Whis, so well, that's what Whis said. I'd probably would. That's so difficult because he's like what? He was like the 5th strongest fighter in of all time, basically ever, or currently alive, or whatever he meant by that. I would probably say the priest, but I mean, who knows how strong Vegeta would be compared to him? We don't know. What if Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta became Super Saiyan God? Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, could he solo the universes? I mean, he would definitely. The thing is that people, it's very interesting because Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 10 Goku should theoretically, if Super Saiyan God Goku and Beerus had enough power just by punching to like destroy universe, basically. I mean, Kaioken times 10 Super Saiyan Blue Goku should have had enough power to get pretty close to all the universes, right? I mean, of course, mathematically speaking, obviously, just simple math, very simple off-the-cuff math here. But yeah, Super Saiyan Blue, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta would be more than enough, I would think. I would definitely think so. But I think we can probably leave it off on there. I think that's a pretty good spot to leave it off without being too awkward here. But anyways, guys, that's about it for the Q&A. Hope you guys did enjoy the video. Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts on stuff I talked about down below. And of course, I'll catch you later.